You guys aren't going to catch up to me. Although you guys did beat me. Obviously, you got to see the rankings. You got to see the rankings, which I'll show you in a moment. So, all right, here we are live for the three people that are there. Yes, welcome. Good for you. Fantastic. A couple of reminders before we move forward. Obviously, I do not see you next week, and I can't give you that verbal reminder to check your lineups and set your lineups. So please make sure that you are setting your lineups next week because we're not going to be here. Fantastic, wonderful. Oh, who says hi? Oh, Aiden says 0-7. Let's go. Anyway, yeah, we were talking about your team, Aiden, before. I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, you guys are Wednesday. I believe there's no 10th graders here, right? Right, cool. Tomorrow, obviously, it doesn't affect you, but it affects the people that are on the computer right now, hopefully watching me, is the fact that Thursday is a PSAT for 10th graders, so that kind of throws the schedule out of whack, which is why I posted that reminder for people to tune into the live stream today, because I'm not teaching the same lesson twice. Actually, today's more of a review day, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Sorry, Sam called him trash. No one's excited? All right, whatever. Anyway. So anyway, we got that week off, and then we come back on the 9th. The 9th is a full week. The 9th, well, it's a full week, but it's still the first marking period. And it's still, you're only here on Wednesday. And those kids are only there on Thursday. But then coming back the 16th, I don't know how I'm going to fit you all in here. Have you guys heard anything about, like, dividers? No? They've mentioned dividers. I don't know what they're even going to look like or if we're going to have them. But supposedly, on the 16th, we are all coming back together. I'm either going to have you 2 or 3 days a week. How many kids are actually in that class? So I have all of you, and then how many more do I have to fit in? I'd have to fit in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'd have to fit in 8 more people. Yeah, that's going to work. Obviously there are 5 desks are here, but I know there's a couple people absent, obviously, This is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Are you excited? Technically, yes. Technically, that's why they mentioned the dividers, because the dividers would obviously block that. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a fun, weird, exciting time. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? But we'll see what happens. But we'll be in the second marking period. And then the next week will be garbage because it's Thanksgiving break. So yay. But we'll get there. My goal is to wrap up baseball today with a review. There are various things that I want to review with you. Obviously, this kind of coincides perfectly. Didn't intend for this, but the World Series obviously wrapped up last night. Yay, happy day. Yes, I did have that conversation with my dad on Saturday. I'm not going to show you it today because I need to edit the whole thing down. I might jump through a few snippets, but I'll tell you a few stories. I'll tell you a couple of stories, and then I'll edit the whole thing together. I'll tell you 2 specific stories, and then we'll get there. But let's talk about football. So football, obviously, we just mentioned Aiden's 0-7. Can he go 0-13? I don't know. Yeah. I think he can. Aiden, do not try. I'm talking to you, Aiden. Do not try to go 0-13. Don't. Here are my rankings. So you can see the rankings in terms of points for, points against, strength of schedule, true win percentage, and there are my power rankings. And we have a new leader. You've been dethroned as the power rankings leader. I just want you to know that. Team Heritage Santo is now number 1. I'm moving up the standings. Look at me. And look at that. Look at them. Quinn Pringle. 11th place. Yet look how high they're up. Look how high they're up. That's some bad breaks right there. Sorry, they're just talking about it. There's nothing we can do. Nice. Yeah. Power rankings obviously are not an indicator, but, it does kind of show who's stronger and who's weaker. Obviously, I'm in first place, but maybe I'm a little bit weaker. Who the heck knows? Lowest points against. Fun stuff. We'll talk about that. So, a couple stories about my dad. So, I was hoping that the game on Saturday would have been a sweep for the Dodgers, but obviously that was not. The Dodgers won the World Series last night. We watched that game together probably all the way up to 11:30. And then we had to call it a night. And then I watched the rest of the game at home to when the game ended, 12:30 or something like that. I don't know. Did nobody watch the game on Saturday? It was the craziest game. Like you're talking about like the Dodgers being up with solo home runs and being up 4-1, and then the Rays coming back and they're up 5-4, and then the Dodgers are back up 6-5, and then it's 6-6, and it just kept going and going and going and going, changing pitchers left and right. It was insane. And then the last at bat, I believe I can't remember exactly where the guy was. Maybe he was like on second or third base or some junk like that. And then some random guy who like barely played hits the ball into the outfield. The outfielder bobbles the ball. So the guy rounds third and he's running for home. And then the fielder gets the ball back. He launches that ball to home. The catcher gets the ball and he sweeps to try to get the runner, but he can't get the runner because the runner's not there. The runner had tripped halfway down the line. So the catcher's like, what do I do? But then, oh crap, the catcher doesn't actually have the ball, because when the catcher turned to try to tag him, the ball flew by him and he missed it. So the guy on the Rays just very weakly slid into a home plate, and they won the game. And that was sad. It was really sad. Oh, they're still talking football on the chat. Weird. So a couple stories from my dad. First of all, today, if you've been to a baseball game today, what do they do in between batters? Do you hear anything in between batters if you go to a baseball game today? Well, they announced them, yeah. A lot of batters walk up to the plate with music. In between pitches, you may hear like the sound system and like trying to get people like riled up and like chanting things and stuff like that. Especially in between innings. If you've ever been to a baseball game, in between innings, they do play a lot of stuff. So back in the day, they didn't have any of that stuff. They didn't have any of it. And my dad says, I'm like, so I asked my dad, I'm like, it's like, what's the huge difference between the game then and the game now? And he says, well, they didn't have any of that stuff. But at Ebbets Field, they had the Symphony Band. And I'm like, what the heck is the Symphony Band? Hey. You okay there? McTaggart. Anyway. The Symphony Band, phony is the emphasis there, was a group of guys for like 20 years. A group of guys came to Ebbets Field with their instruments from home, and in between innings, they would play songs and get the crowd hyped up in left field. They were called the Symphony Band. No other stadium in the country had this. That's why the fans were so hyped up. And I'll tell you one more story. So I asked my dad, did you ever see a fight? And when I asked him the question, I was thinking about, did you ever see like a fight on the field? But he didn't answer that. And he said, yeah, we saw a lot of fights, mainly between the fans. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, imagine this. Any Philly fans here? Okay. This is my dad talking now from Brooklyn. He's like, imagine this, Ebbets Field, Brooklyn, before the game, a couple of buses show up. Several hundred fans from Philadelphia get out, already drunk. They came to start a fight. We hated it when the Philly fans would come to town because you knew there was always going to be a fight between a Philly fan and a Dodger fan. So there was just like, they would come in and they would just be very antagonistic the entire time. So I told this story to a couple of teachers who I know were Philly fans, and they were like, yep, nothing's changed. Stupid Philly fans. Anyway, Philadelphia. He told me a lot of stuff, though, just a lot of stuff that, like, for example, check this out. I bet you didn't know this. Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson retired from baseball in 1957. Why? The Dodgers were about to move to Los Angeles, and they were about to trade him to the Giants. Jackie Robinson didn't want to go to the Giants. So Jackie Robinson instead decided to retire. And after he retired, he signed a contract to work for Chock Full of Nuts. What's Chock Full of Nuts? It's a coffee company. Jackie Robinson, instead of playing for the Giants, because he didn't want to play, signed a contract to work for a coffee company as an executive. Amazing. Just a flat out amazing. Anywho, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass something out to you. For those of you that are in the chat, I am going to put the document in question. I'm going to put this document in question into the Google Classroom in a few minutes. But first, let me pass this out to you. We're going to review. there are various things that I would like to review with you in regards to this unit that we've covered on baseball. And I have some questions here that I would like to go over with you piece by piece so that you are ready for the assessment that we're going to do. Aha. So let's see here. I know, right? Let me get this into the Google Classroom. Boom. Change it. Sports. Add file. Browse. Subjects. Sports. Review. Boom. PDF review for today. Post. Boom. There we go. So for those of you that are in the chat right now, I just posted the PDF of the review to you guys so that you can open that and follow along with exactly what we are doing today. So over the course of the past 2 months, or less than 2 months really, we have talked about a lot of different calculations. We've talked about the speed at which a base runner could steal second base. We're talking about the pitching speed and converting things over. Talking about the distances between various bases. Talking about calculating various statistics, both basic and obscure, in order of measuring which player's better than another player. And now I just want to review that with you. Now, at the very top of this, these are the things that I want you to be aware of. These are the things that I want you to be able to study. Now, keep in mind this assessment that I'm going to be giving you. It is not going to be an in-class assessment. This is going to be an online assessment, similar to the ones that we've done before. But I am expecting that work to be written. I am expecting the work to be written in regards to this online assessment. Now, when it will be due, I'm going to post something today. But it won't be due today. It will be due. I'm probably going to push the due date to Saturday or Sunday or something like that to kind of give you guys a little extra time. Now, tomorrow is Thursday. It's a PSAT day. There's nothing really to do other than your online Google Classroom. Friday is a virtual day. You know, typically I do give you guys things to do and I explain things and then I send you on your way to go do my assignments. So you have Thursday and you have Saturday. And if I make it due, or I'm a Thursday and Friday, and then if I make it due Saturday or Sunday, you have that time as well. But here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to know how to convert miles to miles per hour. And we're going to talk about the various calculations that we've done in the past to get there. You're going to have to know how to use the Pythagorean theorem in order to find the distance, the hypotenuse of a right triangle. We did that on the base paths. You're going to have to solve for time when given distance and a rate that must be converted. I'll remind you of the various formulas that you need for that. You need to use the order of operations to simplify and advance the baseball statistic. These are things that we have been doing. Now, some advanced baseball statistics that we've been doing, obviously, you know, slugging percentage and on-base percentage and things of that nature. But some of the more advanced things, we did something on runs created. Perhaps on this assessment, I may give you something that you have never seen before. Oh, by the way, for those of you who turned in the total average one in the past day, I haven't checked those just yet, but I do have the emails. And then finally, calculating game score of a pitcher when given his box score. We went over that with various pitchers. Kerry Woods, Sandy Koufax, Sal Magli, things of that nature. But these are the things that I want you to be able to do. So let's talk about number one. If Jordan Howard is running the distance of a football field from just outside the end zone to the opposite outside the end zone in 12.3 seconds. Now, the reason why they say just outside the end zone is because they want you to imagine it's literally 100 yards. Okay, that's just what they want you to imagine. Because obviously, if you have a guy starting to run, like he catches like a punt return, for example, in the end zone and then runs it out, he may be running a few extra yards or something like that. I don't know. You guys ever see those like football plays where the guy catches it like super deep in the end zone and then he runs it back and everyone's going absolutely nuts? There was a college football game. It was it Alabama Auburn? Does no one know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And like literally like people are going absolutely nuts because Alabama's this powerhouse and something like that. It was just my favorite thing was when the radio announcer was just like, Auburn's going to win the football game. And I'm like, that's awesome that he's calling it the football game. That's just old school stuff. Anyway, Jordan Howard is running the distance football field in 12.3 seconds. How fast is he running in miles per hour? Now, being that this is a review, obviously I'm going to be doing some of these problems with you and asking you various questions along the way. Let's kind of see what this thing looks like. Now, first, I'm going to draw this stuff in red so you can see a little better. It won't bleed through the paper. But I'm going to draw a little football field here, and I would expect that you kind of draw something the same. I'm estimating approximately what this is right here, but there's a little football field for that guy. There's the 100 yards. Obviously, we know a football field is 100 yards. I'm going to have to do some conversions. Now, he runs it in 12.3 seconds. He runs 100 yards in 12.3 seconds. Now, I want the answer in miles per hour. No, let's deal with the yards first. How do I convert yards? What do you know about yards? How many feet are in a yard? Yeah, there are 3 feet in a yard. So I can write something like this. 1 yard, 3 feet. Now they want miles per hour. How many feet in a mile? Yeah. 5280. 5280 feet in 1 mile. Now what this calculation allows you to do, it cancels out the word feet. It cancels out the words for yard. So now I have miles per second. Now I'll do the calculation in a minute. I'll do the full calculation in a minute. But I would also like to convert seconds. Now this one is a little bit more straightforward because you guys have probably done this conversion for seconds 1,000 times over. But obviously there are 60 seconds in a minute. And there are 60 minutes in an hour. Now, I crossed out the words for second and I crossed out the words for minute. And the only words that are left are exactly what I need. Miles per hour. Just nuts. You ever see the clip? I'm thinking like Usain Bolt all of a sudden in my head because he's the fastest human alive. There's one clip of Usain Bolt breaking the 100-meter world record. Fastest human alive. Over 20-something miles an hour on average. He's ends up breaking the world record, but he's so far ahead of everyone else, and he knows it, that at one point he literally puts his arms out to start celebrating, and he's still 10 meters from the finish. And he still breaks the world record. He's not human. It's awesome. Anyway. Also, how lucky is he that his last name was Bolt? Anyway, go to this calculation here. 100 divided by 12.3, that is the first calculation. Now, I could hit enter here, but I'm just going to do everything as is. Times 3. Divided by 5280. The calculator will do it in the order that I tell it as long as I'm not doing parentheses. Times 60. Times 60. I could literally type that whole thing in at once if I wanted to. Chapow. Now, if it's going to make logical sense, you got to know that human beings do have a limit as to how fast they run. Again, bless you, the fastest humans alive can run over 20 miles an hour. 16.63 miles per hour. Question. How long is a marathon? 26.2 miles. What is the world record approximately for running a marathon? You don't know?
Are you in like the sub 2 hours?
Yeah. The guy got under. Here, watch. I'll show you. Hold on. The guy just recently got it, right?
Yeah.
Marathon record. World record progression. Come on. But I think it's unofficial, the guy who just got it. Because there was like a lot of help along the way and stuff like that. But in competition, it's roughly 2 hours. Now, roughly 2 hours to run a marathon. If you're going to run a marathon in 2 hours, you are one of the fastest, most endurance-driven human being alive. But if you're going to go 26.2 at 2 hours, that's 13 miles an hour. 13 miles an hour on average for 2 hours. That is insane. But I digress. Let's talk about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan dunked from the free throw line in a straight line motion to the basket. The distance from the basket to the floor is 10 feet. And the backboard to the free throw line is 15 feet. What is the distance that he had to jump to make the dump? It should say dunk. I don't know why that is a typo. Let's draw a picture. There is the basket. Just drawing that thing as best I can. It's actually pretty good. Look at that. That's cool. And then let's say this is the launch point right here. There you go. He's about to jump from that point to the basket. So let's label a couple things here. The distance from the basket to the floor is 10 feet. So we got 10 feet right here. And from the backboard to the free throw line is 15 feet. We got 15 feet right here. This is why they say draw a picture. Because even though the problem may seem a bit convoluted at the beginning, if you just simply draw the picture out, it ends up making the visualization a lot easier. The formula that you need is something, again, I'm assuming you've all been through geometry at some point or another. Yeah. Most of you all, actually, you're not all seniors, are you? No? Some of you juniors? Cool. Anyway, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Obviously, Pythagorean theorem, something that they've tried drilling in your brain for years and years and years and years. But keep in mind that in this case, I don't know what the bottom portion is. 15 is my hypotenuse. So this is really 10 squared plus b squared equals 15 squared. And that's what I would have to solve. So will you get a decimal? No, you won't get a decimal. You're going to get a nice number for this. 100 plus b squared equals 225. B squared equals 125. Oh, no, you are going to get a bad number for this. Oh, well. I'm going to square root that sucker. Square root it. Decimal. B equals 11.18 feet. Do you guys know the name Bob Beamon? No? Bob Beamon was a long jumper in the Olympics. I mentioned this because of Michael Jordan doing this jump. Long jumping in the Olympics. Anybody do track and field long jumping? No? Anybody in track and field? Okay, all right, cool. So you know the idea of long jumping. Cool. Bob Beamon was in the 1968 Olympics. Now, mind you, 1968. And the world record at the time was like 27 feet and inches. And people who had broken the world record broke it by like minuscule amounts, like half an inch, quarter of an inch, things like that. 27 and change. Bob Beamon's going into this Olympics and he's like, listen, not only do I think I can break the world record, I think that I can break 28 feet. And we're like, Bob Beamon, how in the world are you going to break 28 feet? 28 feet would be more than like a half a foot above the world record. That's more than 6. No one has ever broken it by that much. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to break the world record, and I'm going to break 28 feet. So he's in the Olympics, and he does his jump. And he thinks, I think I'm good. I think I did it, but I think I broke the world record, but I don't think I broke 28 feet. It took the officials 20 minutes to confirm the result. And when the result came back, yes, he had broken the world record. Yes, he had broken 28 feet. The dude had broken 29 feet. And if you know anything about the long jump, breaking the world record by 1.5 feet is the greatest single physical athletic accomplishment a human being can do. To this day, mind you, 1968, to this day, Bob Beeman's jump is still second all time. Anyway, to this, number 3. You got to know your history. Batter hits a baseball into the outfield. There's a runner on first who wants to tag up and run to second. How fast does the runner on first have to run to be safe on second base if the outfielder is 250 feet from second and throws it at 80 miles an hour? Let's draw a picture. So let's see. I'm going to draw a picture here. I'm going to change it back to red because I wanted the diamond like this first. There we go. Oh, can't see it. There we go. So then the runner is starting here, and the runner is trying to run to second base. He has to tag up, so he does have to run the full 90 feet. And the outfielder, let's say he's over here, and the ball is thrown to second base to try and get the guy. So this is 90 feet. This is 250 feet. He's throwing it 80 miles an hour. There we go. And there's a runner on first who wants to tag up. Cool. So then the question is, how fast does the runner on first have to run to be safe on second base? So we have to figure out how long it will take for the ball to get there, and that's when we have to kind of apply that to the runner. You guys know the name Bo Jackson? What's the big deal about Bo Jackson? He was fast. What else? He played baseball and football. It's like Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders did the same thing. How many people nowadays do you think are allowed to play 2 professional sports at the same time? Like none. Absolutely none. What's his name? Patrick Mahomes? Isn't Patrick Mahomes also a really good baseball player? Yeah, but he's not allowed. You know?
Kyler Murray got drafted.
Yeah. It happens. You know the name Dave Winfield? Dave Winfield was a player who was drafted in the late 70s, played throughout the 80s. He was drafted not only by Major League Baseball, but also the NFL and the NBA. Insane. That's how good he was. Hold on, I'm going to show you Bo Jackson real quick because this applies to this problem. Hold on. YouTube. Bo Jackson throw. Let's see. There we go. We'll just watch this one. You see what he just did? Look at this. The dude couldn't slow down.
That's into right field. That's a can of corn. Bo Jackson is there. As here's the throw. Gallego tagging and Bo gets it. What a throw by Bo Jackson. Winds up. Here's the pitch is hit. Making ball driven to left center field and well hit. Back goes Bradley. Back goes Moses. Oh, it's a home run and it's almost on the top of the bank in left field. Jackson with a broken bat and one hopper. Right back to Aldridge and the Royals are out.
Last. Ah!
One ball, one strike to Mustang.
This will be the last one.
That's going to drop in front of Bo Jackson. Nielsen around third, coming to the plate.
He was so stinking good. It's a shame. It's just, injuries pile up. There's this video going around online of Bo Jackson like being a coach for a team in Major League Baseball, and there's a kid there, and then he's just like, and Bo's talking to the kid, and he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And the kid's like, "No." He's like, "I'm Bo Jackson." He's just like, "Okay," and he had to explain to the kid what he had done in the past. It's just so funny. Anyway, let's figure this out. First, let's figure out what we need to know. Distance equals rate times time. Yes, distance equals rate times time. But there has to be a bit of conversion done here first. 250 feet, 80 miles an hour. They're not compatible at the moment. So I'm going to have to convert that 80 miles an hour. So I'm going to do a little calculation over here. 80 miles per hour. This is the calculation that we've done 100 times over, where 1 mile would have 5280 feet. And 1 hour would have 60 minutes, and 1 minute would have 60 seconds. This calculation we've done a bunch of times over, but this is going to give us feet per second for the guy out in the field throwing the ball. If you did that calculation as we did before with the conversion, boom, he's throwing it approximately 117.3 feet per second. That outfielder is throwing the ball at approximately 117.3, repeating technically, feet per second. Distance equals rate times time. Distance equals rate times time. We need to know how long is the bat, or how long will it take for the ball to go from the outfielder to second base? That's what we need to know to start this problem. Distance equals rate times time. 250 feet equals 117.3, repeating, times time. If I just do that division, 250 divided by that number, that gives me approximately 2.13 seconds. 2.13 seconds. Now, that's one part of the problem. Now, that doesn't answer the question. That doesn't answer the question just yet. That answers part of the question. The question is, how fast does the runner have to run to be safe? He has 2.13 seconds to get from first to second, from the moment the guy catches it to the moment the ball gets to second base, as long as the throw is instantaneous. Well, distance equals rate times time. He has to travel 90 feet in 2.13 seconds. Oh, can't see it. Move it over. He has to travel 90 feet in 2.13 seconds. That's the calculation that we have to solve for. Now, this is going to be a very interesting answer in a moment. This is going to be a very interesting answer in a moment. Because you'll see. He has to run approximately 42.24 feet per second. 42.24 feet per second. Now, the question doesn't specify what units to put his speed in. It just said, how fast does the runner have to run? It doesn't say, will he be safe? It doesn't say that whatsoever. I mean, you could technically leave your answer like that, and that would be sufficient because the problem doesn't specify. But if you did need to do a conversion to miles per hour, we could do a conversion to miles per hour. Just for the sake of argument, I'm just going to kind of do it not on the paper. I'm just going to do it in my calculator up here real quick. I got 42.24 feet per second. So let's see. I'd have to divide it by 5280 in order to convert it to miles per second. I would have to multiply it by 60, and that conversion would put it into miles per hour. Holy crap. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? That's miles per hour. No, you can totally have a decimal. Hold on. Fastest miles per hour human. That's the fastest. The fastest anyone has run was reached briefly by Usain Bolt. 27.5 miles an hour. That's the fastest. This guy would have to run 28 miles an hour just to get there on time. There's no way he's making that. But again, that's not what the question's asking. The question said how fast, and I'm going to put it at 42.24 feet per second. That would be sufficient. Gosh, I got to show you that Usain Bolt clip. Hold on. It really is insane. Bolt world record slows down. Yeah, check this out. Look at him. Look at this guy. Look how insane he is. Hold on, back up. Look at him right here, right here, right here. He's gonna. He literally just like stopped running full speed and still broke the world record. That is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Gosh. Anywho, flip it over. Flip it over. You know, the first time I heard about Michael Phelps, you guys know who Michael Phelps is, right? Cool, cool, cool. The first time I heard about Michael Phelps was in 2004. The reason why I heard about him, I was attending school in the town that he grew up in. He grew up in Salisbury, Maryland, and I went to Salisbury University. And I heard about him because there was a local news report in 2004 that he was arrested for marijuana possession. I don't really know why that's relevant. I just wanted to bring that up. So in the 2008 Summer Olympics, Phelps dominated in the swimming events. He broke numerous world records and became the first swimmer to capture 8 gold medals in one single Olympics. A gold star to the person who can tell me whose record he broke. Who had 7 gold medals in one Olympics? No gold star? Puppy dog or kitty cat sticker? All right, cool. You'll probably look it up in a minute. The name is Mark Spitz. You guys don't know your sports history, do you? No. I'm sad about that. That makes me cry on the inside. Anyway, he broke the 100-meter freestyle world record by swimming in 50.22 seconds. How fast did Michael Phelps swim the 100-meter race in miles per hour? Now, we may have to Google something real quick in order to do a conversion, but we'll deal with that in a minute. He broke the 100-meter freestyle world record by swimming it in 50.22 seconds. So hold on. 100 meters in 50.22 seconds. They want to know how fast did he swim in miles per hour. The dude, when he was training for the Olympics, when he was training full speed, they said that he consumed 15,000 calories a day. That's insane. 15,000 calories a day just to maintain his training. Oh my gosh. Anyway, 60 seconds in 1 minute, 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, we've done that before. We've done that ad nauseum. But here's the problem now. We need to convert this into miles per hour. We have hours. We don't have miles. There's no easy connection between meters and miles. That may be helpful. How many feet in 1 meter? There we go. That'll be helpful because now we have a direct connection between the two. Now we have a direct connection between the two. So I could say 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. I'm just going to round it to 3.28 feet. There we go. Technically you could do directly from 1 meter to miles, but it doesn't make as much sense if you got to convert it to feet first. 5,280 feet in 1 mile. This will do it. This will do it. Ah! Is that Hey Google or Siri?
Sure.
Ah. I like Hey Google better.
It is better. It is cool.
So, let's see what we got here. Do my calculation. 100 divided by 50.22 times 60 times 60 times 3.28 divided by 5280. Literally, I can just type the whole thing in like that. And of course, you have the calculators on your Chromebooks as well. 4.45 rounded miles per hour. Insane. Michael Phelps qualified for the 2000 Olympics in Australia. He qualified for the 2000 Olympics when he was 15 years old. Think about that. That is insane. Absolutely insane. Anyway, back to this. Now, this is my favorite problem of the whole thing. This is going to be my favorite problem of the whole thing. Let's see here. I got to get on the Google Classroom. So I want to make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat here. Google Classroom, FL Sports. Come on, you silly thing. There we go. Turning that down. Excellent. Now, Carson Wentz throws a football at 58 miles per hour, and Alshon Jeffrey runs at a speed of 21 miles per hour. Question. I don't know the answer to this because I didn't watch it. Andy Dalton, is he okay? Okay. So the Cowboys are dead. Okay. I didn't watch any football on Sunday, so I was just double checking. Blood out. Poor Cowboy fans. They've suffered enough. Anyway, if Jeffrey runs straight down the field and Wentz throws the ball at 60 yards after a 3-second hesitation, will Jeffrey be there to catch the ball? Note that Jeffrey is standing 15 yards to the left of Wentz at the time of the snap. This is a wonderful problem. This is a wonderful problem. Let's draw this out. We have to draw this out. So, let's start by drawing Carson Wentz. Yep. He's throwing the ball 15 yards, he's standing 15 yards to the left. He's throwing it this way. There we go. He's throwing it at 58 miles per hour. And he throws the ball 60 yards after a 3-second hesitation. So 3-second hesitate. We'll deal with that later. But he's throwing the ball up and to the left because Jeffrey is standing 15 yards to the left of Wentz at the time of the snap. Now Jeffries runs straight down the field. He runs straight down the field at 21 miles per hour. It says he's standing 15 yards to the left. So I'm putting that in as well. Let me make sure I have everything. Now, I haven't even begun to answer the problem. I'm just drawing a picture as to what I believe this thing looks like based on the statement. So I'm just going to read it again, make sure I got everything. And this is the process that I would have you do as well. Okay. He's throwing the football 58 miles an hour. I got Carson Wentz. There he is. Alshon Jeffrey runs at a speed of 21 miles an hour. Okay, there he goes. Jeffrey runs straight down the field, and Wentz throws the ball 60 yards after a 3-second hesitation. We'll deal with that hesitation later. Will Jeffrey be there to catch the ball? Note that he's standing 15 yards to the left at the time of the snap. Now, there's a lot of things going on here. Obviously, we got a little right angle triangle going on here. First, let's use the right angle triangle to figure out how far Alshon Jeffrey has to run. Let's do a little right angle triangle to figure out how far Alshon Jeffrey has to run, because that may be helpful. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Zoom out. Let's see. 15 squared plus b squared equals 60 squared, because the hypotenuse is 60. That's just a calculation away. B squared is equal to 3375. B is equal to 58.09 yards approximately. That's how far Alshon Jeffrey has to run. He has to run 58.08 yards. Oh, someone get that. So here's what you missed so far. Ready? I drew out my picture because it looks wonderful, right? It does look wonderful. Alshon Jeffrey has to run this straight line. We don't know how far he has to run. We do know that he's standing 15 yards to the left at the time of the snap. And we do know that Carson Wentz is going to throw it 60 yards. What's the Eagles' record right now? And they're in first place? I'm just shaking my head. Eagles fans. Anyway. So we have that piece of information under our belts. Now, there's going to be a 3-second hesitation for Wentz, and he's going to throw the ball at 58 miles an hour. But he's throwing it 60 yards. Now, these conversions obviously are a little bit off. 60 yards would be how many feet? You do that in your head. It's 180 feet. So 60 yards is 180 feet. It is miles per hour. We're going to have to do a conversion in a moment. For Alshon Jeffrey, I do have the 58.09 right there, so I'm going to have to do another conversion for him. Interesting. I'm going to organize this. Let me organize this on a separate sheet of paper. This is what I would do if I were you. If I were you and I was taking this as an assessment, I would use this as an opportunity for scratch work. But then I would also try to organize my information in a slightly better way. So I have this picture, and this picture is going to be incredibly helpful. But let me write something out here. Jeffrey versus Wentz. Boom. So Jeffrey, if I can zoom out just a little bit, I'm going to recap some information here. He's going to be running 21 miles per hour, and he has to cover 58.09 yards. Now, if I multiply that by 3, that is 174.28 feet. Carson Wentz is throwing the ball 58 miles per hour. He has to throw it 60 yards, which you guys just told me multiplying it by 3 would be 180 feet. Nice. I just wanted to organize this information for the two of them. I used the Pythagorean theorem in order to figure out Alshon Jeffrey's distance that he had to cover. I think we're almost there. Excellent. Now the question then becomes, okay, well, Carson Wentz. We have to figure out how long it took for Carson Wentz first. 58 miles per hour. I'm going to do the little conversion here to feet per second. 1 hour, 60 minutes. 1 minute, 60 seconds, 1 mile, 5280 feet. We've been doing that over and over and over again, that calculation for converting miles per hour to feet per second. 58 divided by 60 times 5280 would give you 85.06. Write that again. 85.06 feet per second. Somebody remind me. What is the distance formula? What is the distance formula? We've said it multiple times. Rate times time. We need that. Distance equals rate times time. We need that for this problem. What are you staring at him for?
Looking at me weird.
Okay. Anyway. The distance is 180 feet equals rate times time. Let's do that calculation. 180 divided by that number gives us roughly 2.16 seconds. But is Carson Wentz throwing it automatically? Is he throwing it right at the snap? No. What's he doing? Oh, yeah, he's waiting 3 seconds. After 5.16 seconds, the ball will get there. After 5.16 seconds, the ball will get there because he has to hesitate 3 seconds. There's where the hesitation comes into play. Now let's go to Alshon Jeffrey. Because basically we're going to do the exact same thing and we're going to figure out, will he make it? Will he actually make it on time? So 21 miles per hour. It's the exact same calculation we've been doing. 1 hour, 60 minutes, 1 minute, 60 seconds, 5280 feet in 1 mile. It's the same calculation over and over and over again. Let me zoom in on that. 21 divided by 60 times 5280. Oh, nice number. 30.8 feet per second. So he is running at 30.8 feet per second. And he has to run 174.28 feet, according to what we wrote above. That's how long he has. This is what we're going to figure out. Divide by 30.8. He will get there in 5.66 seconds. I'm going to recap exactly what just happened. I'm going to go through it step by step. But let me ask this question first. Will he catch the ball? No. He's going to be half a second too late. He's going to be half a second too late. Poor guy. That stinks. What is this? That's weird. Okay. I'm getting emails galore. What is going on here? Anyway. All right, let's take it step by step. First, looking at the problem. Zooming in. Here's the picture. Carson Wentz wants to throw a football at 58 miles an hour. Come on, focus. There it is. He wants to throw the football at 58 miles an hour. Jeffrey runs at a speed of 21 miles an hour. If Jeffrey runs straight down the field, there he is running straight down the field. Boom. And Wentz throws the ball 60 yards after a 3-second hesitation. Will he be there to catch the ball? Note that he's 15 yards to the left of Wentz at the time of snap. That information I drew into a picture. It's hard for me to visualize this without actually drawing it out. It's in your best interest to actually try to draw out that information. So I did, and it worked. 15 yards to the left, all that fun stuff. You got to know, and I'm going to write a little note for myself, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. You should know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, which is why some of those calculations were able to be done. I could convert yards to feet. And just for the sake of argument, 5,280 feet in 1 mile. The metric system is dumb. You guys ever seen a Canadian football game or like a Canadian baseball game? Not Major League Baseball. They measure their distances in meters. You know what I'm talking about? All right, cool. Fantastic. From here, I could figure out the exact distance that Alshon Jeffrey has to run based on the Pythagorean theorem. Because with the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you could figure out that he needs to run 58.09 yards. I organized all my information into the following. He has to run that many yards, which is 174.28 feet. Wentz has to throw it 60 yards, which is 180 feet. And I have their miles per hour there. I needed to convert their miles per hour. Into feet per second. So I did the same thing that we've been doing this entire time. Divide by 60, multiply by 5,280. Converting it to feet per second. From there, distance equals rate times time. I'm going to give you a review of the formulas in a minute. If you can figure out distance equals rate times time, you can figure out the time it takes for him to throw the ball with a 3-second hesitation for the time it takes for him to run. Clearly, he's not going to make it. Let me give you some of the formulas that you're going to have to remember. I'm going to go back to the front page real quick. I would suggest that you do the same as well. Yes, this is your study guide. Absolutely. Let me give you a review of some of the formulas that you're going to need. Converting to miles per hour. Again, with miles per hour, sometimes it is just a matter of that 1 hour, 60 seconds. 60 minutes. 1 minute, 60 seconds. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. You have to know how to do that conversion. We've been doing it over and over and over again. Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C squared being the hypotenuse. Solve for time when distance and rate that must be converted. Distance equals rate times time. We need to know that as well. And of course, when you are simplifying a baseball statistic, you need to use PEMDAS, as you've used for a lot of different things. We used PEMDAS for runs created earlier in the year for Trout and Murphy. We did PEMDAS when you did the formula for total average for the article that I had you guys read. You used order of operations when we calculated slugging percentage and on-base percentage and things of that nature. ERA and WHIP. And then, of course, I'm going to have you calculate a game score. I'm going to give you the formulas for it. Mind you, you have a worksheet that already has the formulas, but on the actual assessment, it'll say it on there what you need to do. So please keep that in mind. Excellent. Now, of course, I'm going to assign this thing today, like I said, probably before I leave the building. And then you'll have several days to get this thing done. Tomorrow, Friday, part of Saturday. Yes. And then I want this thing submitted on Google Classroom, of course. Now, just for the sake of argument, I still have to edit this thing down. Like I said, but I wanted to show you part of the interview with my dad. Oh, thank you. 9:45. Couldn't think of it. Yep. can change the screen over. Hold on. There it is. There we go. So my dad, like I said, my dad is 81 years old. And my dad, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, my dad doesn't look 81 years old. Have you ever seen like a decrepit, like 81-year-old kind of like meandering around and kind of limping? Okay. My dad doesn't look like that, you know. But that's my dad. Now, the other thing is he's wearing a gift I got for him last Christmas. I got for him like a new style baseball hat, but it's in Brooklyn Dodgers. It's got the white B on the front. So I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, just because I was wearing it backwards for most of this. That's funny. So hold on. Flip this around. There we go. So that's my dad right there. There's me. I know it's weird seeing me without a mask, right? Whatever.
These little hints.
Hold on.
You remember we went a few times, when we went to Shea Stadium and all that. Remember?
Yep.
Some of the wild some games.
No, I know the wild games. I know, but I'm trying to think about like World Series games or something like that because I've never been with Ethan.
Oh, I gotta tell you that story. So my dad and I went to a Mets game. It was the Mets Pirates, and they're playing a doubleheader in Shea Stadium. And each game went like 13, 14 innings. It was nuts. And I had to go to school the next day. We still had to take the train back to Brooklyn and then drive from Brooklyn back to Barnegat. Because we parked the car at my grandma's house in Brooklyn. And in the second game, it went so long, we were just like, we have to go. So we left the game early. The game was still going on. Anybody a huge Mets fan? No? All right. I'm not surprised. No, I do know a few big Mets fans. I think there's I mean, one of you guys have like a Mets like a avatar as part of your logo thing. But there was a Met by the name of Todd Hundley, and in like the bottom of the 15th inning, he hits a home run to win the game. Where me and my dad, we're on the deck of the train station about to get on the subway to go back to Brooklyn, and people are going nuts. Do you know what they had in Shea Stadium back in the day to indicate a home run? I don't know if you knew this. They had this giant machine where when there was a home run, an apple would come up and celebrate. It was the weirdest, stupidest thing in the world. So let me skip ahead.
16.
Yeah.
They left Brooklyn.
They left.
So you only had a couple years there where you might have been able to go to some local games.
Yeah, 58 they left.
And then the Yankees were in almost every other year.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
And that's something when you think about it. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, the Yankees.
That's why I got to edit this thing down.
Giants.
Yeah.
Well, they won four straight.
Yeah.
And the Indians were favored.
Yeah. With the Bob Feller and Bob Lemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're watching the Dodgers game as well.
So, anyway, that's all I can say about
I gotcha.
the ball going up there.
Get rid of that. I gotcha. What about, what's this? Players with a home run. If ever.
Guys out like nothing.
Oh, for
Built that call. Yes, Duke and
anybody that you saw that was a personal favorite.
yeah, we liked I guess Duke and Carl Furillo.
Carl Ferrilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Duke and Carl. Yeah.
Just Dodger again?
Yeah, he was right field. The rifle they call it. He could throw guys out like nothing.
Oh, from right field.
Yeah, from right field.
Nice.
Off the wall, he knew where the ball was. Bingo. It was like automatic, and if you were running the second, you might get thrown out by Furillo. Oh,
that's awesome. Because I know, like a lot of right fielders, they have to have that kind of.
Yeah. Take a look at shoot.
Skip.
Right.
Tremendous.
They lowered the mound from 1.
Yeah, skip.
Yeah, like
I said, I have to edit this thing together. It's like 2 hours, but believe me, it did not like feel like 2 hours. Regardless. There, let me show you something else instead. I wanted to show you this earlier. I ran out of time. I wanted to show you the end of game 4 of the Rays and Dodgers. Just because it was insane.
First up, hitting for Savino.
Now, a lot of people think that baseball is boring. Oh, come on. I thought I had 5 minutes. I apologize. My day is ruined.
Have a good break.
I'll send you this clip later. Anyway, I legit thought I had 5 more minutes. Oh well, at least I got through the review.
Have a good break.
See you guys.
Yeah.